there is this application called Miro, and I am absolutely obsessed with it, and I want to take just a brief moment to show you guys why. So, for context, I'm one of those people who loves like project management softwares. And I think at a certain point, you hit this like point where you're like, okay, I've tried everything. Like, I'm a very big like Notion girly. Like, I've tried Trello, I've tried like Basecamp, but more for professional projects. Like, the point is, I've tried like a lot of these different, oh, this software will fix my life. And Miro does not fix my life, but it does make it a lot easier. And what I love about Miro is how open concept it is. So Miro is basically just like a giant whiteboard. And you might be saying, oh my God, that's so dull. But it's not, because it's a highly intuitive giant whiteboard. And you can do a whole bunch of really fun, really cool things with it. And the one hard thing about Miro, my one like downside, is that it doesn't have like data. So there's no easy way to be like, okay, here are the statistics on how many tasks I've checked off, or like, click this thing and it fades to gray to show that I'm done with it. And like there are also aren't like easy formula integrations, and that's the only thing it's missing. But other than that, I like love it. So this is Mr. Job. I just created Mr. Job. He's a puppy. Um and my favorite functionality of Miro is the sticky notes, because they're so easy. You can just either click to do one and then you can type, or you can just do Control N to create one. But they're just such a simple, easy way of like organizing thoughts and organizing ideas. And because Miro is like an endless whiteboard, you can have all sorts of things, and all sorts of chaos that you created. For instance, this was a final project that I had for school. And so I had each of the things I had to do, and you also can do like a Kanban board in here, and then just like physically shift your tasks um, from like to do to in progress to done. But the thing I like most about Miro is I am someone who is very, very visually oriented. And I before tried to basically create the functionality of Miro in Canva. And Canva is a graphic design software, if you're not familiar of it. And it was really clunky and really hard because as a graphic design software, Canva wasn't designed for, being tactile or being movable or functioning as an app. It was designed to create like posters. So it didn't work well. But what's really nice is I'm able to recreate that same functionality in Miro, and it's just so efficient. So I think one of my favorite silly things that I had is it was St. Patrick's Day, and I had a bunch of little things to do. And so I just created them on these little blocks, and then just grouped each of the blocks together. And then I was turning them yellow and then putting them as like gold in this pot of gold. And that's the thing I like about Miro, is it makes doing things like this something that would have taken me like half an hour to set up in Canva and would not have been worth it. It took literally like not even 2 minutes, 2 minutes just to find the like stock images of the pots of gold and the rainbow, and then just to type each of these out super quickly and put them on blocks there and sticky notes. So I did like have to make these, but it was so fast and so efficient and so much more like fun. Like I have to remind myself that I like doing work when doing work feels like fun. And when I felt that like sense of accomplishment of adding another stack of gold to my pot at the end of the rainbow. Another thing that I have set up that I really like is this is last semester stuff, and I really like to like the thing that got me with Notion is my Notion is so full. It's so full of so many things, and I do still use Notion for keeping track of like what assignments I have. But Notion started to be really slow for me, and Miro has not. Like Miro works just as quickly now as it did when there was only like one singular like post-it note on this board, and I absolutely love that. And so it allows me to not feel bad about not getting rid of things, because it's like, yeah, I no longer have all these school things to do, but I could still have them there if I want to look at them. But some of the fun things I did, I'm not sure. For instance, is you could create really easy like little buckets to put things in. For instance, literally all I did for this one is just I duplicated it, and then put one on top of the other, cropped the top one, and then locked it in place so that way it doesn't move. But like, let's say, oh, get debit card. Once I have my debit card, look, you could no longer see it. And then in here, I just have like a bunch of post-it notes of things that I did. Um, and then I did a similar thing for this really cute little success bucket that was all the things I need to do to finish up my school year. So then it just goes, ooh, like you're dropping it from a hand into this like potion called success. Um, but I just love like the way Miro works with my creativity as a very creative person. It's like, we do like so much of the time graphic design software. or project management software, it isn't intuitive, and you can't just like, oh, I want to create this. I see this image in my mind for this thing. Boom, it's there. And that's what I like about Miro is it makes it so easy to be like, oh, what if I had a hand dropping all my to-do tasks, like to-do lists into a potion of success? Okay, that's easy. Or even things like making these. This one I think I made in Canva and then just copy pasted it in, which was super quick and super efficient. I think my favorite one is honestly I stole the monster from Cut the Rope, and so I can feed him tasks. I have not done so many of these tasks. I did do this one, I think. Um, and then I can just go in there, and then I don't have to see it anymore. And then I also can get the satisfaction if I want of unlocking this and moving it to see all the things that I did. And being like, wow, I did so much. That's so impressive. But yeah, honestly obsessed with Miro. I also have boards. I haven't been using these as much as I thought I would, but I have boards for each class and they're color coded to the colors that I picked for my class, which this year, and I was trying to get away from the stereotypical, oh, science has to be green, math has to be red, and trying like different colors. I hate these colors. I will never be doing this to myself again. But this way I can put like little notes of things the professor mentions or things I have to do that aren't like homework on here, so that way I just have a board I can quickly reference. And then once I've done that, I did this like cute little trash can that isn't currently working. That is one thing that does kind of annoy me, is that sometimes I have to like redo these. But it literally, the thing is, even if I have to redo them, it literally only takes me like half a second. And it's still so much less time than it would have taken me to do the same thing in Canva. And I should note that like this isn't necessarily how Miro is meant to be used. Like it is because it's just an open whiteboard platform. It also can be used for wireframing or things like setting up how you sort of want a website to look, but not with like the same functionality as like softwares that are specifically made for that purpose. And then I also have Design Hub, which I really like. I love, like, Miro is so much more close to the way that my brain works as compared to something like Notion, which has a set visual layout and a set like setup. And because there's so much space here, it truly feels like each of these things have their own place. Although this one's getting a little crowded. You can see my little mental breakdown here with nothing is that deep when I was stressing out about missing work. But this is actually a cute, tiny little board I did. Because I have a bunch of courses I have to transfer, so I have them to forms submitted, which I actually did submit all these forms. And then once they actually get transferred, I could move them to magical transfer land. And then what's nice is I could choose to like literally select this entire thing, make it super small, and put it in like a trash can or something on my board, or I could just literally delete it and have it not exist anymore. And I like having that flexibility. The thing I was literally just talking about is how nice it is to have space so that these different things feel like their own little worlds, their own little lands. Like, specifically, I love having a design hub. So in Notion, I ended up having, my Notion is so complex, having a page in Notion that was just for all the design changes and all the formulas and all the things I'd done in Notion. But I really like that I can just, Google a generic image of gears and then put that on here, and then I can just look and go, oh, there's the design hub. And then if I have any ideas about what I want to do with Miro or anything I'm worried about, I can just, it's simple and easy, and I have it there. So I had for spring give each class a themed board, and then I did do that. Although I didn't like design it as much as I probably could have, but and that's there. And it's so nice to have just that instead of like feeling like everything is a separate page. But one thing I do have to say is that like there's no like writing functionality. But then again, that's not necessarily something that I need for something like this. And even with Notion, like when I first got really into Notion, I was like, oh, Notion will become my dedicated platform for writing video ideas, writing homework assignments. But I just don't like Notion's interface. And so I end up using Google Docs anyways. So for me, that's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I really love Miro and I highly recommend it, especially if you're someone where you have a lot of like little things that aren't necessarily like time sensitive, or if you just want a place that can feel like an expansion of your brain, or a place to record all the things you have to do or all the things you had to do at one time. And I think too, the speed of Notion, like I never realized the importance of like UI and UX design and the importance of speed until I started trying to use project management softwares where I would have to manage like 12 tasks, and I'd either have to delete them or check them off or do things like that. And for me, the speed and just how responsive Notion is as a platform and how fast it is to do things like mark something as done, move it into another thing, to create something new, to duplicate things. Like, it's just an incredibly fast and responsive platform, and that speed has not stopped, despite the fact that my board is very crowded with individual components, and that literally means the world to me. Anyways, yeah, that's it for my little spiel on how much I love Miro.